Hey. Good to see you all. We can't talk about you when we put it on mute now.
I know sort of you don't want to go too much on what's happening at Chelsea, but obviously you're someone who sort of benefited from Roman Abramovich's reign during the course of your time at Chelsea. And I just wondered, based on what's happened this week, whether you reassessed your relationship with him based on the fact that, government has said he's had close links to Vladimir Putin.
No. One of the questions earlier said that I'm close to Roman Abramovich. I know Roman Abramovich. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've seen him in the last many years. I worked for Chelsea Football Club, which was an absolute pleasure to work for Chelsea Football Club for 13 years. And that's exactly where I want to leave that one.
Thanks, Alistair.
Thank you.
On the Chelsea situation, if you don't mind, Frank, obviously it's major news, and we have to take it in context with what's happening in the world, of course. Very serious for Chelsea. Roman Abramovich and the club well. I'm sure you know some of the people who are still employed at Chelsea Football Club, and their livelihoods are obviously at stake. We're hearing that people are losing their jobs already. What are your feelings for the situation with them currently?
Well, I don't know specifics about it other than what I read, like all of us. And I haven't read those headlines that you said about people losing their jobs. But clearly I managed there for near on 2 years. I played there for 13 years. I've got a lot of friends and people that work behind the scenes. And that would obviously be something on a human level that if people may be losing their jobs at Chelsea or wherever, that I would care about. So, and knowing them well, then of course I would care about that. I don't know the detail on it. And I care about the fact that the fans of Chelsea that will be there from the beginning and before us, and they'll be there after us. It's a tough moment for the club. So I don't want to hang on it too much because I'm manager of Everton. It's absolutely my priority. And we've got real testing things in front of us. But of course, on a human level of people that are just doing their jobs, working away, with everything, giving everything in their jobs, and of course, if their jobs are in danger, then of course you care a lot about that.
And could you just give us a view from the player's perspective? You're not too long retired as a player yourself. They have to concentrate on the football, but is it difficult for them to do that in contract situations that might expire at the end of the season, etc.?
I think if you're in a contract situation, possibly. And when I say possibly, we don't know whether players have decided on their own futures or not. And you learn as a manager, having been a player, the players can worry about themselves. They may have something planned. I'm not saying they're not. They don't have emotions to do with what's happening at the club. I'm just talking about their own situation. And a lot of players, I think, generally in my experience, will just concentrate on the job in hand. And I try to do that as a player. But this is a bit bigger than that. I understand that. There is some doubt in the future and uncertainty. And not just Chelsea. I think we're watching the news every day and understanding what's happening in the world. It's bigger doubt and bigger perspective than ever. So maybe a contract position that you might be on a free transfer is not the main thing. Maybe it's what's going on in the world.
Thanks very much, Frank.
Thank you.
For your honesty.
Thanks, Alan. We'll go to Richard Graves, please, of Premier League Productions.
Frank, I appreciate what you said about still a third of the season to go, a lot of points to play for. So when you have evenings like last evening, for example, when you're not playing but teams around you are you the type of guy that watches it, keeps an eye on it, or do you occupy yourself with other things?
Well, it was my son's first birthday yesterday, which is flown by. So I kind of was juggling, as we do as parents, all of us at times, trying to, he's not that aware of his birthday, obviously. So to do the family thing, but watch the games, of course. I think there's a balance to it. I think sometimes it's a case of understanding you can't control it and you don't need to watch. But we're obviously playing against Wolves at the weekend, so that was a big focus of mine in terms of their game and having a view on Wolves. So. It's all about us. It's not, well, I say all about us. It's a huge deal. It's about us because we know those points are there for us to go and get and take, and then we'll be okay. But of course, you have an eye on everybody else.
Hi, Frank. Good to see you.
And you.
Following the obvious disappointment on Monday night, just reflecting on that, is the job a little bit bigger than you thought originally?
No, I got asked that after the match, and I answered it. So it's not bigger than what I thought. I knew it was challenging. Because when you come into a team that's in the form that we were in and the position that you're in, I think it's very clear for anyone to see. There was not many people when I came and asked me the question of how far up the league we were going to go. From the beginning, it's going to be, can we get security, Premier League survival, etc. So I'm very aware of that. And when you're in that kind of position, as we see with results, not just ourselves, but last night and currently with teams in that position, it's, there's a reason why Manchester City and Liverpool at the top of the league, they win most weeks. There's a reason why your league position is pretty true. And then there's a reason you have to fight out a way that you have to try and fight out of that. And sometimes it takes defeats and losing games and to show resilience and to show the fact that you can come back as a club and a team and individually. And that's just what it is.
We talked about home advantage. You've got these two big home games now, Wolves and Newcastle. Vitally important, goes without saying. Wolves don't concede many goals. I think only the top three have conceded less. So do you need a change of approach on Sunday? Are we likely to see something different?
Well, I've changed approach a few times since I've been here, even as a short time, and that's generally been because of personnel and injuries. We've had 2 centre-back injuries in my first 2 games. And I think any team that, and we've seen it in recent Premier League history, any team that loses frontline centre-backs, 2 of them at the same time, becomes really difficult and it changes your options. So it won't be a dramatic change of approach for Wolves. It will be an approach that we see relevant for the opposition in Wolves, and maybe a change because maybe we have players back that are now available that haven't been, and they're big players for us. Ben Godfrey's a big player, Damari Gray is a big player, so I haven't really been able to call on them, but now I can, and we need our big players.
So they are both fit and
Yes.
available.
Yeah.
And just with Dele Alli as well, not started a game yet. Are you considering that? Is he fit and ready to start?
Yeah, he's fit and ready to start. And am I considering it? Yes, always. I think I have to, in this position, when you come in particularly fresh, you have to consider everybody. Everyone has to train to be able to play and deserve their place in the team. And it's an area of the pitch where we have good competition in forward areas, to be fair, and attacking midfield and wider areas. So the players just have to show that they deserve to have a start. I think with Dele, he came here having not played regular first-team football for a long time, and that has to be taken into account in terms of getting him fit, but at the moment he's fit and ready.
We're at that stage of the season where we start asking managers whether they set themselves a points target for survival. You're obviously looking at other teams' results. It's difficult not to, but is that something you have in mind? It could be a very low points tally that gets you survival in the Premier League this season. Maybe 4 more wins would be enough. Do you target things like that?
I don't think you can, because of what you stated there, that it will be relevant to what everyone else does. I think we have to be in a position where we consider the next game is the most important thing, to get points, to get confidence, to then roll into the next game. And I think we have a lot of games. There's a lot of points to be played for when you think there's 13 league games. So we shouldn't get too caught up in the end picture. We should look at what's right in front of us, because you see the table change very quickly for certain teams with a couple of defeats, a couple of wins. It can change the face of it. So our focus can only be on the next one.